so hot. Help me.
Who are you?
Don't ask.
You chose the wrong cage, little bird.
Madam Gray is watching you. Smile.
Evelyn, to our coming happily ever after.
Take it. Don't make me look bad.
She took the bait. Prepare the Caldwell merger for tomorrow. The girl is handled. Just an asset. Knock her up with my heir. She'll submit. You all right? Come, get some rest.
Damian? My fiancé's uncle? How is this even possible?
Leaving so soon?
Last night was a complete mistake. I was spiked. I had no idea whose room this was. Please, let's just act like this never happened, like we're strangers.
Strangers? Every time you tightened around me, every gasp, every plea, it's all locked in my head. Want a play-by-play recant? Why the tears now? Get me the grand ballroom security logs from last night, floor security too. 10 minutes. Up to my suite.
Julian drugged my drink?
Evelyn! Why are you with my uncle? I was looking for you everywhere last night and you were busy jumping into my uncle's bed? Uncle, that's not 8:17 p.m. last night. Need me to zoom in? It's candies. Just vitamins. Get lost. The engagement is off. Tell your father he can answer to me if he has a problem with that. I'll handle your parents.
I'm good. I'll tell them myself.
Fine. But remember, you are no longer Julian's fiancé now.
Julian blew up my phone. He says you spent the night with his uncle. Julian drugged my drink.
What did you say?
He slipped something into my champagne. I got away, but ended up in...
Shut your mouth! That wedding is happening! Do you have any damn idea what Gray Capital means to us?
Listen to me, Evelyn. You swallow your pride and you pretend nothing happened.
It's me. 3 p.m., Bluebird Cafe on 5th Avenue. You know what happens if you don't show up.
Last night was an accident. We walk away and we never cross paths again.
This isn't a discussion, Evelyn. I can get you out from under Julian's thumb.
Why? You and Julian are family. You're just another cage.
Cages break you. I'm offering you real leverage.
No, it's never that simple.
Come to Gray Capital tomorrow. I'll lay out the terms. I know you're smart enough to know what happens if you refuse.
Think you can turn things around by lashing onto my uncle? Once he's done with you, you'll crawl right back to my feet.
Your hands are freezing. Come upstairs with me. Touch her again and your trust fund is gone. Your plastic is cut and I'm taking the keys to those sports cars.
You didn't have to put on a show in front of the entire lobby.
Sign it.
What is this? I'm not signing it.
Read the fine print. It's a corporate position. Put that degree to use and show this city you're more than just some man's trophy.
Sir, Miss Caldwell is here.
What is this creepy place? I signed a finance internship, not some 24/7 nanny gig.
Your father has been laundering dirty money for the Santor mob for 15 years.
That's a lie.
Caldwell Trading's entire cash flow is practically a front for their syndicate's offshore accounts. You honestly thought your parents were just pairing you off with my idiot nephew?
They sold you twice. Once for the Gray Trust Fund and once for the mob's ledger. Your sweet little engagement was the collateral for your father's blood debt.
Why are you telling me all this?
I'm throwing you a lifeline. Hide in my shadow, and this filth will never cross your path. Walk away, and the Santoris will collect what they're owed. Make your choice. Starting tomorrow, you're transferring from marketing to strategic investments. You report directly to me.
You're the CEO, Damian. If I report to you, people are going to talk.
What do you think New York runs on? Justice? Pure innocence? There is always only one rule. The house always wins. Your father's leverage is a dirty ledger. Julian's is his last name. And yours? Is me.
Then what's your play?
I'm betting the house on you. To put you where your father could only dream of. Alan, clear the corner office on the east wing. It's for Ms. Caldwell tomorrow. Pack your bags tonight. My guys are already outside your building. And I handled your Columbia classes.
That's not protecting me. You're controlling me.
Is there a difference?
There you are. Do you have any idea who he really is? You actually think he's some Wall Street gentleman? His men are everywhere from Brooklyn to Queens. I've seen him make people disappear with my own eyes!
You think waking up in his bed was an accident? In a hotel that keeps cameras on every hallway, you just happened to walk into his unlocked suite? That night, he kept you there without asking a single question, didn't he?
That night, why wasn't your door locked? You knew I was coming.
I've been waiting for you for a long time.
But you're his uncle.
I waited like this before your engagement, too. Waited for you to walk in yourself and tell me you didn't want to marry him. I waited for 3 months. Until that night.
You stumbled into my room, and I decided I wasn't waiting anymore.
You're just like Julian. You're just better at hiding it.
You're wrong. When I want something, I take it. I have nothing to hide.
Did you hear? She used to be Julian's fiancé. Now she's working her way through the Gray men, uncle and nephew. No wonder she got dropped into strategic investments. Internship? Please. She's the boss's bedworker. Anything else you want to ask me? Since I'm right here, asking me to my face would be more accurate than gossiping behind my back.
Who started the rumor?
2 interns in marketing and a new hire from NYU. The source is that finance blogger from the building across the street, the one who came over for coffee with Julian a few days ago.
Names. A Columbia Business School grad? Isn't there a financial ethics seminar next week? Send their profile to the committee. Suggest they add corporate defamation and its impact on capital markets to the agenda. Let them decide who should speak. Understood. Also, look into something for me. Who Julian has been contacting on the Santoro side recently. Start from before he embezzled funds from the European branch. I want everything.
My parents released a statement. They cut me off. To keep the Caldwell family afloat, they chose Julian. What else can you possibly get from me? I'm worth nothing now.
What exactly do you think I see in you? You have brains, a backbone, and ambition. And most importantly, you have me.
Damian, I have nothing left.
Then you're left with me. All of me.
What is this?
The Santori family's East Coast business dealings over the past decade. The records under your father's trading company take up 7 of these pages.
You've had these all along. You never meant to save me, you're just using me.
If I wanted the Santori ledgers, I wouldn't need you. A low-level laundering front like your father isn't even worth a meeting with me. I kept you here for one reason only.
What reason?
From today on, you don't need to know that reason. You only need to do one thing. Do what you do best. Shut them all up. Here's the financial analysis for the North Carolina acquisition target. The 3 to 5 year data you asked for is all pulled.
The EABD figures don't line up. Could you have audit verify them for me?
The Santoris are making a move. Julian wired $700,000 through an offshore account to a shell company in New Jersey last week. The receiver is the Santori family's underboss. Pressure both ends. Port the logistics and warehouse storage.
Remember, we don't touch the Santros directly. We just need them to know the Grays are watching.
How much of that did you understand?
That wasn't a business strategy you just laid out. You were showing the Santornos your reach. Through legal channels.
There's a gala next week. The Santoros will be there. You're coming with me.
You want me as bait?
No. I want them to understand one thing. You are no one's bargaining chip. You are the line no one crosses.
The way that old Santoro bastard looked at me tonight, he recognized me. He knows my father. My father pushing into marriage with Julian wasn't a coincidence. When you showed me those photos at the cafe, I still had doubts, but standing in front of that old man tonight, the look in his eyes told me everything.
Here. Your father owes the Santornis more than just money. There's an old debt between them from 15 years ago, and the collateral for that debt is you.
I was only 7 years old 15 years ago.
A 7-year-old future Gray daughter-in-law wasn't worth much as collateral, but 15 years later, a 22-year-old Evelyn Caldwell is.
So they didn't just block my way out. They never meant to let me survive at all.
There is a way to survive. One way. Stay with the Gray family. Not as Julian's fiancé. As mine.
You knew all this from the very beginning. You waited for me to walk into it myself, to discover the whole truth on my own. You didn't tell me a thing.
I told you. I've been waiting for you for a long time.
You're a trap too. Just deeper and better hidden.
Two sugars.
I want in on every move against the Santoros. You put me in strategic investments, showed me those ledgers, and took me to that gala. You didn't do all that so I could stand on the sidelines. You want me in the game. Fine. I'm in. I'm not some line you protect. I'm a piece on your board. So let me play.
The Santoris aren't small-timers like your father. They don't reason with you.
Then I won't reason with them either. You taught me, whoever holds the leverage makes the rules. And my leverage is you.
Do you have any idea what those words mean?
It means I'm not running it anymore.
Everything Alan pulled together is in here. Read it before you decide.
I've already decided. The registered agent for that New Jersey shell company is also the CF of Caldwell Trading. I need all his bank statements, not just the corporate accounts. I'll just leave this here for you, Americano, no sugar? Thanks. Miss Caldwell. Oh, wait. Should I call you my uncle's little mistress now? What are you trying to say? I'm just curious. How much do you actually know about Damian? He practically watched you grow up. Since your first Gray family gala at 15, he's been watching you from the shadows for 7 straight years. Every cocktail party, every photo, he has all of it. Doesn't that make your skin crawl? A grown man obsessing over you. When he says he's been waiting for you, what does that really mean? Is it sweet or is it sick? Are you done? He watched me for 7 years, and he never laid a finger on me. Not until I walked into his room myself. Where was Damian when your cousin drugged me? And where was Damian when your family used my father as their clean front? You're trying to make me think he's the monster. But in this family, he's not the one who scares me. You are. Just wait. I'll make your life a living hell.
Miss Lillian has been in frequent contact with Mr. Julian lately. Encrypted chats, using a channel provided by the Santori family. She's not just helping Julian. She's building herself an exit, Santoro isn't only after the Caldwells. Lillian has internal ledgers from the Gray family branches. Should we take action against her?
No. Let her keep going.
I heard some of that about Lillian. You've had people following me this whole time.
Since the night you walked into my room, every inch around you had my people in it. I'm not locking you up. I'm building a net around you.
You think I didn't know? I've mapped out the Santoro family's money trail on the East Coast. But I need you to verify one thing. What role Julian played in it? Is he the buyer or just the middleman that decides how we handle him?
You made a choice tonight. What you said to Lillian, you knew it would get back to Santori.
I knew. My father used me as a bargaining chip. Julian treated me like prey. Lillian treated me like a weapon. Every one of them wanted to trade me for something. You're different. At least you let me choose for myself.
Have you chosen?
I chose a long time ago.
You need to come home.
That isn't home.
Your father signed a new funding agreement. Santoli is willing to ease up. We can still fix this, as long as you come back.
As long as I come back and marry Julian.
Do you have any idea how much your father owes Santini? Do you know what we've been through all these years? Where do you think the rent for that apartment came from? You think you got into Columbia just because you had good grades?
I know that money wasn't yours. And I know you weren't putting me through school. You were raising a little lamb to pay off your debts. Go back and tell Edward. His debts are his to pay. My life is mine to live. From now on, the Caldwell family's problems have nothing to do with me. I sent my mother away, and when I did, I didn't even cry. I guess I should feel awful, but it feels like a weight came off my chest, like I finally don't have to pretend anymore.
When someone finally faces the truth, they don't cry. The tears come from all the years they spent pretending and holding it in.
When did you face the truth?
The first time you came to the Gray house for dinner when you were 15. You wore a pale blue dress and stood by the champagne tower. Some branch relative whose name I can't even remember tried to humiliate you. You didn't cry. You didn't run. You talked him into silence. That night, I told myself one thing. I want this woman. I waited 7 years for you to grow up. 3 years for you to get away from Julian. And then I waited for you to walk into my room. That was the only thing in my life I didn't wait for. You walked in on your own. So stop calling yourself prey. If you're prey, then I'm the hunter who waited too long. That makes the hunter more pathetic than the prey.
When did you learn to talk like this?
7 years. Plenty of time to rehearse.
The Santori family indirectly holds 4 of the 7 warehouses, Dowses, in the New Jersey Port District through a 3-layer offshore structure. On paper, the owners are 3 shell companies registered in the Cayman Islands. But if we pull the beneficial owner signatures for those 3 companies, they all point to the same person. Where did this data come from? We've been digging into Santori's offshore structure for 3 years and never found a way in. Not from inside Santoro. I worked backward from Caldwell Trading's old books. Caldwell Trading was Santoro's front for 15 years. Their ledgers recorded every matching inflow and outflow. Reverse that chain, and you get Santoro's true beneficial owner. I spent 2 weeks checking the numbers. The results are audit ready.
Any other questions? Meeting adjourned. Caldwell Trading's ledgers. How much did you read?
All of it. Every transaction from 15 years ago to now.
including the pages where my father sold Santori's shell companies and tucked away a little tuition money for me on the side.
3 people in that conference room were Santori plants.
I know. That's why I laid out every piece of evidence on the table, not just to convince your executives, but to make sure they carry the message back. Let Santori know. Let them know the Caldwell girl they treated like collateral now has 15 years of their books in her hands.
You just put yourself in the most visible square on the board.
Didn't you do the same thing? You put the person you most want to protect right under every enemy's nose.
I'll protect you. On the board or off it.
She cracked him open. That little bitch took Caldwell's old books and tore Santroni's offshore structure apart in the conference room.
The Caldwell girl used her father's ledgers. That question should be put to Mr. Caldwell himself. I've already had someone invite him to tea tomorrow.
The ledgers aren't the point. My uncle is. He's really grooming her as his successor.
You didn't see the way he looked at her in that room? That wasn't how a man looks at a woman. That's how he looks at the person taking over.
Then all the more reason she can't stay in that seat before she learns how to fly.
What do you want to do?
Santori still has the Caldwell's old debt, right? Put it on the table and make her choose. Come back and honor the engagement or watch her parents go to court.
At the same time, leak that Gray Capital's intern took internal files and ran to Santori. Trust in business is fragile. By then, we won't have to push her. Her own company will put the knife to her throat.
Fine. But on one condition. Once it's done, Gray's port business belongs to Santori.
Deal.
Strategy Department, Evelyn Caldwell. There's a problem with my computer. The hard drive is locked, and I need data recovery. Yes, all files, as soon as possible. That perfume.
Around 2 in the morning, someone forced a login to Miss Evelyn's machine through an internal network port. They used the account of a former marketing employee. The operator planted an encryption lock on her hard drive and added a fake transfer record to make it look like she sent internal files to Santori.
Who does the fake transfer trace back to?
Tech traced the physical address of the operating device. It was Miss Lillian's personal laptop. Also, Santori invited Edward Caldwell out for tea yesterday. We don't know exactly what they discussed, but Mr. Caldwell went to see his private attorney first thing this morning.
Evidence in her computer, threats in person, deals under the table. They're hitting her from 3 sides. They want her to break and make her unable to stay at the company. Once she has nowhere left to stand, she'll have no choice but to go back into that trap. Recover every piece of data on her machine. Preserve the reverse trace on that fake transfer record too.
Understood.
Send her everything we've saved from this period. The company intravet, personal emails, even hallway chatter. Every source of every rumor about her.
Boss, if she sees all that, she might...
She can take it. Strategy Department, Evelyn. 3 o'clock this afternoon, come to my office.
Read it. The night your computer was hacked, the device traced back to Lillian's personal laptop.
How did she do it?
She used a former marketing employee's account and planted a fake internal data transfer record on your machine. The so-called recipient email you supposedly sent to Santori is the same encrypted address Julian used when he embezzled from the European branch.
They want to brand me as a thief and hand me a motive for being a traitor. My father is on Santori's books. So they think I was born to be the mole. Those 2 girls gossip about me in the cafeteria, and that blogger who secretly photographed us in the library, were they all arranged by Lillian?
She bought the blogger. The girls in the cafeteria were the blogger's fans, not directly planted by her.
But she's been steering the rumors the whole time, including those 9 photos taken on campus.
You put all this in front of me because you want me to sue them? Or wait for their next move and hit back then?
I told you. Anyone who touches what's mine doesn't get the luxury of regret.
This is enough evidence for a criminal case, but litigation isn't what I want. I have my own plan.
What about you? What do you want to do?
Let them keep going.
Every step they take adds another link to the chain. When they finally go all the way, no one will be able to beg for mercy on their behalf.
You're nothing like the girl who ran out of that engagement party anymore.
That girl died after she was drugged. The woman standing in front of you now is Damian Gray's student.
Mr. Caldwell, you know why I asked you here.
I didn't give them to her.
I know, she dug them up herself. You raised quite a daughter. If she keeps digging, Santoro won't be the only one in trouble. Caldwell Trading's 15 years of books will be turned inside out. Then you won't just owe Santoro money. You'll have a permanent file with the Federal Financial Regulatory Board.
What do you want me to do?
Bring your daughter back. Get her out of Gray Capital, away from that man. Bring her back, and I'll wipe out your portion of the debt. Fail, and you can find a way to pay it yourself.
It's me.
I know.
Let's meet. No engagement talk. I won't force you home. It's about Santori. There are things you need to know.
What can't you say over the phone?
Your mother.
Fine. Tomorrow at 3, the Starbucks off campus. Public place. If you bring anyone, I walk. I'm not afraid. I'm just not sure whether I'll still go soft when I see the man who used to call me his little princess.
You've lost weight.
You didn't say that the last time you slapped me.
15 years ago, when Santori came to me. Caldwell Trading was already on the edge of bankruptcy. I didn't go begging. They came to me. There was only one condition.
I can guess.
If they ever needed a clean channel for their money, Caldwell Trading would be that channel. And the guarantee for that partnership was you. You were 7. The Gray family always looked down on us. Then, 3 years ago, Santori gave us a signal. They hinted Gray could get a piece, as long as marriage tied Caldwell and Gray together. That's why Julian came after you. That's why I forced you to marry him. I didn't sell my daughter. I used you as leverage to buy you a way out. If Caldwell collapsed after you married into the Grays, at least you'd still be in high society.
And the spiked champagne? Julian drugged me. Did you know beforehand? Silence is an answer. Mom was never sick. You didn't ask me here to tell me the truth. You still want me to go back and be the stepping stone for your escape?
If you don't come back, Santori will go after your mother.
All these years, you kept me in your grip while Santori waited and Julian circled me. And Mom just cried the whole time. It wasn't that she didn't know. She chose to close her eyes. None of you gets to say this was for my own good anymore. The Caldwell family has nothing to do with me.
Neither.
Santori's old man came to us, but no deal was made. I decided on my own to keep watch over you. 15.
You're a trap too. You're just different from the rest. You let me see all the way to the bottom of you. Now it's time I do something.
Santori's men tailed her from 3 blocks away. We didn't intervene. We just countertailed their car. Also, Mr. Julian's encrypted transfer records are all in, and the embezzlements trail from the European branch has been linked to this side.
What about the Caldwells?
After Edward left Starbucks, he went straight to Santori's private club. Our people said he looked pale when he came out. Vivian went to church alone. She spent 2 hours in the confessional.
Give them some time. Once Santorini shows their hand, they'll understand they didn't choose an ally. They chose the nail in their coffin.
Start it. Let Julian and Lillian know their scandals go public the day after tomorrow. Start with Julian's statements.
Who leaked it? Who?
Who else? You touched his woman, so he touched your weak spot. He's not warning you. He's telling all of New York that anyone who touches Evelyn gets ruined.
He's trashing my name, but he's trashing the Gray name too. He still thinks he owns this whole city. He wants to ruin me? Then I'll show him what mutually assured destruction really means. Doesn't he care about that woman most? I'll make him watch Santori grind her into dust.
The graffiti happened at 3 in the morning. 5 masked men. We've identified 2 of them as people Mr. Julian hired through Santori's outside muscle. The 2 who posted the photos at the university were found by the blogger Miss Lillian contacted directly. They're professional ex-boy creeps. The internet is already on fire.
Don't suppress it. Let it burn. The harder Julian tries to drag the fire onto Evelyn, the less he can hide his own filth.
That list you just gave me? Add another charge. Inciting organized personal attacks.
Yes, sir.
Package it with the embezzle materials and send it to the Federal Financial Regulatory Body. Copy the gray board. Understood. One more thing. Building security already covered the graffiti doors with canvas. Should we have Miss Evelyn work from home for a while?
Where are you? Whatever you saw, leave it to me.
Don't cover it with canvas, leave the graffiti there. When this is over, Julian can come wipe it off himself.
Your uncle has been watching the ports very closely lately. I know what he's trying to do. He wants to wipe out Santori's transport lines in one move. But half those routes are under my name. If he wants to touch them, he has to get through me first.
I need you to take out a shipment. Gray owned a docks. Make it look like a robbery. Once it's done, I can hand you the entire northern Manhattan transport market.
That's not all you want. Get to the point.
Take care of the woman, too. Make sure she never shows up in front of my uncle again.
Interesting. The nephew wants to go after his uncle's woman. Does Santori know?
Santori wants to use her to hold my uncle back. I'm harsher than Santori. I'm going to destroy him with her disappearance.
Double. People cost more than cargo.
You don't have to come every time.
I had Lillian's original Photoshop files pulled. Those photos were real shots of you, each one taken without your consent. The words on top were a separate layer she added. In the originals, you're just reading, drinking cocoa, eating salmon. The timeline has been sent to the New York Times. It'll run next week.
When you clear my name, have you thought about how this will expose us completely? Gray Capital's CEO and an intern, uncle and niece-in-law. Are you ready for that?
I was ready the moment I told you not to touch the gossip. You think I care what people say? I only care whether you believe me.
I believe you.
You don't have to come every time.
I had Lillian's original Photoshop files pulled. Those photos were real shots of you, each one taken without your consent. The words on top were a separate layer she added. In the originals, you're just reading, drinking cocoa, eating salmon. The timeline has been sent to the New York Times. It'll run next week.
When you clear my name, have you thought about how this will expose us completely? Gray Capital's CEO and an intern, uncle and niece-in-law. Are you ready for that?
I was ready the moment I told you not to touch the gossip. You think I care what people say? I only care whether you believe me.
I believe you.
The board received your legal memo, along with the investigation notice from the Federal Financial Regulatory Body, Julian, Santori, and now commercial defamation. In less than 3 months, you've dragged 3 generations of the Gray family through the mud.
I'm not the disgrace. Julian is for drugging his own fiancé. Lillian is for secretly taking photos, editing them, and spreading lies. Caldwell is for laundering Santori money for 15 years. They threw the Gray name into the dirt. I'm picking it back up.
You're the girl.
I am. If you're asking whether he's worth it, you should ask Damian. I think he is.
How do you plan to end this?
Julian goes through the courts. Lillian gets taken down in public. Santori gets bought out. The Gray name gets rebuilt with the price the 3 of them pay.
You are the only thing your father ever got right.
Mr. Gray, the remittance records from the European branch show that over the past 18 months, you transferred a total of $4.8 million from company accounts into 3 separate offshore accounts. I'm afraid these issues can't be explained away as vitamins.
My client was conducting normal capital operations within his authority.
We've confirmed the beneficiaries of the linked accounts. 2 are controlled by Santoros's. The 3rd is your personal account. Yesterday, we received encrypted materials from Gray Capital headquarters. They include a full record of you discussing how to falsify transfer purposes with Santori family members in encrypted chats. Would you like to see it? Miss Gray, the source files from your private computer, encrypted chat logs, and transfer records to entertainment bloggers form a complete evidence chain for commercial defamation. The other side, meaning Miss Evelyn Caldwell's attorney, has proposed the following settlement terms. First, a public apology and a clarification statement in the same section of the New York Times. Second, compensation for reputational harm and emotional distress, amount to be determined. Third, permanent removal from all Gray family business positions.
Removed? Those shares are mine by right. We recommend you consider accepting. If you don't, the other side will file criminal charges directly. Defamation, incitation to commit commercial espionage. You know Damian Gray has more evidence than we've seen. Once this goes to court, the ruling will look much worse than the settlement. He's being harder on me than he was on Julian.
Julian gave a 6-hour statement at the bureau today. His lawyer tried to get him released on bail and was denied. The financial evidence is too strong. The prosecutor is leaning toward formal charges. Lillian's lawyer sent a settlement request this afternoon.
Are you going to let them off?
What about you?
I don't want anyone making decisions for me anymore. Not even you.
From now on, anything that involves me, I get a say. Not just information, authority.
What do you want?
I want a seat on Gray Capital's Decision Committee. As a formal analyst, not an intern. I want to be involved in the Santori case from start to finish.
The committee meets next Wednesday. The agenda is East Coast port assets and acquisition plans for Santori-linked companies. You have 5 days to prepare. To your first win.
What are you thinking about?
After we push Santoro out of the ports, the next step is cutting off their link to the overseas smuggling network. You probably haven't heard of the smuggling boss. His name is Victor Rezai. He has old blood with my family. My father's business was destroyed by him and Santoro working together.
I'm not only protecting you, I'm settling a 20-year-old score.
You're right to join the decision committee, but I need to tell you this now. The enemies you'll face won't just be Santori. There's Rezi, and everyone else in this game who doesn't want me to make it out alive.
You're not alone. You waited for me a long time, now I'm not leaving. However many old scores you have to settle, I'll go through the books with you, one by one.
7 years ago, when I saw you at that dinner, I thought, this girl cannot be destroyed by this family. Now when I look at you, I think, this woman can destroy everything that tries to destroy her, and including me.
I won't destroy you. I'll pull you out of the trap. You've been stuck in it long enough. The Santori family's 4 Port Hera houses look independently owned, but they're actually tied together through 3 layers of cross-shamership. If we buy them one by one, they'll notice, and the price will shoot up. My plan is, don't buy the warehouses.
If you don't buy the warehouses, how do you control their logistics lifeline?
Buy the priority use rights to the freight rail outside the warehouses. The rail is owned by 6 small shareholders, totaling under $20 million. Without rail transport, Santoni's warehouses have to send goods an extra 80 miles by road, raising costs by 30%. We don't have to storm the house. We just cut off the air.
Proceed with Analyst Caldwell's plan. Alan, start contacting the rail's small shareholders tomorrow. Everything under NDAs. Meeting adjourned. The rail plan was yours. I gave you no hints. Today, you stood in that room as an analyst, not as anyone's accessory. You have decision-making authority. Starting today, you will have the title to use it.
I have one more suggestion.
Go ahead.
Don't let Santori know we're buying the rail. Keep their eyes on the warehouses. Right now, we need someone they trust to tell them Gray is hitting resistance, the Vors Gray resistance, on the warehouse acquisition and pulling back.
Alan, do what Analyst Caldwell said. Find an intermediary Santori trusts and leak a fake tip that the warehouse acquisition has hit resistance. Make them think we're backing off. You're not prey anymore. You're the hunter. Julian has been charged. The Federal Financial Regulatory Agency has started reviewing all his cross-border transfers. Lillian's asset accounts are being frozen one by one. That girl, Caldwell's daughter, isn't just defending herself anymore. She's become Damian's right hand. I'm worried it won't be long before she starts touching our core business. I saw the mess that Gray Kid made in the media. He's useless. But one useless Gray doesn't mean every Gray is useless. Did you clean up the evidence? Most chain been cut, but Caldwell Trading's old books. Edward kept a full backup back then. We're still trying to find where he hid it. Edward has no spine, but his daughter does. A spinless man raised a backbone. Now Damian has that backbone tucked inside a glove and is using it as a dyer. I'll choose a time to meet this backbone of a young woman. If she's really what you say, we change tactics. We don't destroy her, we bring her in. There is no enemy who can't be beaten, and no person who can't be bought. If she refuses, then you can make your move.
The way we treated you before was wrong. I hope you can accept our apology. Thank you.
Santori has been quiet lately. Not the kind of quiet that means they're backing out. More like the calm before the storm.
It's not silence. Someone higher up has stepped in. That old frog Vincent Santori fought my father for 20 years. He's not stupid enough to move directly like Julian. What he's best at is making his opponent fall apart from the inside before he steps in to clean up. I think he'll come to me for a negotiation soon.
What does he want to trade me for?
Whatever he wants, he doesn't get to trade you away. Tomorrow night's charity gala at the Waldorf, Vincent Santoro will attend as honorary chair. He picked the most public place, the one least likely to allow weapons, because he wants everyone to see it. He'll definitely come say something civilized to me. Stay by my side then. Don't go more than 3 steps away.
I'll face him with you.
You're nothing like the girl who ran out of that engagement party anymore.
That girl died in time ago. The one who survived is wavy to close the net.
Damian, you're looking more and more like your father. Shame he's gone. If he could see you now, maybe he would have judged you less harshly.
My father wasn't judging. He just couldn't stand the way Santoro kept books. After he died, the ledger stayed. The only difference is, I'm the one running the house now.
Miss Caldwell, you're nothing like your father.
Thank you. That's the best compliment I've heard in years.
Courage is good in the young, but the young should also remember this. In New York, when the road is long, you look for exits first. Take the wrong exit, and there is no way back.
I'll build her road. There are no exits.
Miss Caldwell, got a minute?
Whatever you want to say, you can say it in the ballroom in front of Damian.
Santori can wipe out your father's debt. Those old records of yours can stay buried forever. Only one condition. Leave Damian Gray. Leave his company, leave his bed, leave everything he built for you. Otherwise, these will be in everyone's inbox tomorrow. Not just photos. Your voice. Your father's voice. Even what your mother said in the confessional.
I was pledged to your family when I was 7. Drugged by my fiancé when I was 22. My whole life is the ugliest part of that tape. If you want to threaten someone with it, threaten my father. He doesn't care about me, and I don't care whether he keeps this debt. As for Damian, I chose him. You don't get to buy me off.
You moved on Julian, moved on Lillian, and you're quietly setting up the rail at the ports. I know what you're doing. You want to pull me out of the East Coast by the roots, just like I tried to do to your father back then.
He didn't lose to you. He lost to his own weakness. You said the road is long, I agree. But my road starts where his ended. After the board meeting the day after tomorrow, you may find some people aren't on your side. When you fall from that seat, we'll talk again. No need to wait. At the board meeting the day after tomorrow, I'll let you see for yourself. I'm not falling.
Mark threatened me in the hallway with a tape. I turned him down. I told him Damian was my choice, and he doesn't get to buy me.
You did well.
Why are you never worried someone will buy me off?
Because you've been bought too many times in your life. Your parents tried to buy you. Julian tried. Santoro tried. Every time, they used the sweetest words to hand you the most poisonous candy.
You weren't born hard. You've been poisoned by those sweets so many times that you finally know what real sweetness tastes like.
I didn't buy you with anything. I just waited. Waited for you to see it all for yourself.
I want to visit someone in prison. Julian. Not to forgive him, not to get revenge. I just want him to say it to my face that he regrets it. Only after he says it can I hand that nightmare back to him myself.
I'll arrange it.
You're here to laugh at me.
My parents nearly handed me to you themselves. You drugged me, and I barely escaped. For years, I thought that night was the most humiliating night of my life. Turns out it wasn't. You don't even count as a stain on my life. You're just a sample that showed me what people are really made of.
He'll throw you away sooner or later. And when he does, you'll realize you and I are the same.
We were never the same. I want to go home.
I'll take you home. Damian, in the past 3 months, we've lost 2 European clients, been investigated by the feds 3 times, and public opinion has practically nailed the Gray name to a wall of shame. Yet you put a Caldwell girl on the decision committee, shielded her in public, and even drove out your own nephew and cousin for her. We need an explanation. I turned Julian over to the authorities, and Lillian was removed at my request. As for Santoro's shipping costs across 4 East Coast warehouses, anyone in this room can ask around, did I force those costs up, or was that the result of fair market competition? Since Miss Caldwell joined us, she has completed 3 key M&O proposals. The rail priority acquisition alone secured Gray Capital a logistics cost advantage of no less than $70 million over the next 5 years. She is sitting here as an analyst, not as anyone's fiancé. If anyone questions this appointment, step forward and talk to me with numbers. Mr. Santori, please stay for a moment. Earlier, a director mentioned a strategic partner. I need to clarify, the Santori family has never signed any strategic partnership agreement with Gray Capital. All financial transactions over the past 15 years were independent actions by Caldwell Trading. Gray Capital has no connection to them.
Seal every file on the Caldwell girl as of today. Leave her alone.
Why? We were this close to...
Because she's a hell of a lot smarter than her useless father. She's already beyond my control. We've lost most of this game. We need to step back if we want to hold on to what's left. He didn't choose a woman. He chose a successor.
Miss Gray, our legal department has reviewed the materials you submitted.
Everything in there is true. I can provide more evidence.
We received a call from the Gray's legal team. Some of the material you submitted involves third parties' privacy and content involving minors. The New York Times has decided to remove all of it.
Then at least keep the interview.
We will only keep the section clarifying your involvement in the business defamation case. Also, because the materials you submitted contain false statements and potential defamation exposure, we've decided to terminate this interview collaboration. Your clarification regarding the business defamation case will be addressed in 2 paragraphs within the correction. Due to space constraints, we won't be expanding on it further.
A correction? 2 paragraphs?
This is our final decision. Thank you for your cooperation, Miss Gray.
This isn't Damian being ruthless. It's the knife I threw that came flying back and stabbed me.
Santori has backed off. Vincent ordered your father's old debts sealed so they won't use them to pressure you anymore. But that also means the peace they put in place become unpredictable. The man who's been chained to your father's debts his whole life might do something reckless.
Edward.
Your father's volatile right now and Santori isn't backdoting him anymore. He might come after you. He could get ugly or even hurt you again. This time, I'm moving you to a safe house. And then I'll handle the rest. You don't have to see him. Have to see him.
I won't see him, not because I'm afraid of him, but because I have nothing left to say to him. I already said everything at Starbucks, but I won't hide. If he still comes after me, handle it however you need to. I trust you.
I'll have Alan put someone on watch around the clock. Leave the rest to me.
Seal those records. File what needs filing, notarizes what needs notarizing. From today, the Grays' finances are completely severed from Santori.
Starting today, those old debts have nothing to do with you either.
Damian Gray. He ruined me. He stole my daughter. He cut off Santori's accounts, and now he's pulled the rug right out from under me. I want him dead!
Edward, you want to pull that trigger tonight? Fine. But before you aim, think about 3 things.
First, Santori has handed over the full ledger. I now have every record of your 15 years laundering money for them.
Second, your daughter just stepped in front of me. Before that bullet goes through me, it goes through her. Third, you've seen what happened to Julian and Lillian. How much longer do you think you'll last compared with them?
Blood in my veins.
Your kindness and courage are completely beyond his control. Your life is no longer defined by those people.
The Caldwell case proceeded to trial. Edward faced charges of armed home invasion, criminal threats, and money laundering. Vivian testified as a cooperating witness under a plea agreement and collapsed weeping on the courtroom floor.
It's finally over.
Now, you're completely mine.
And you're completely mine.
This is the woman I'm going to marry. No arguments.
After all, she used to be Julian's.
Do you want a criminal's ex-fiancé to spend her life mourning him, or do you want her to properly become my wife? They'll accept you, not because I convinced them, but because you proved yourself.
You gave me the chance to prove myself.
No. You took it yourself. Here are the keys to every security door in the building. Starting now, nothing is locked to you.
I gave my social practice presentation in the school auditorium. My topic was how women reclaim themselves from family interests and marriage coercion.
Do you know how the burger guy looked at me just now? Dude, did you wander in from a church fundraiser? She's the only one who ever gets to see me without the power mask on. Just a man having a burger with her. Any rival trying to weaponize my fiancé's past is challenging the bottom line of the Gray family and all our partners. We've confirmed it. Someone named Julian pulled strings to smear you. Let me say this again. Evelyn was a victim of persecution in her past. Today, she is a senior analyst at Gray Capital. Does anyone have a problem with that?
If you're still tired, my shoulder is always here for you.
Evelyn, You've lost weight. Are you doing okay? I just wanted to see you.
How long have you been waiting?
Not long. Not long. I was just afraid I'd miss you. Pictures from when you were little, I found them in an old box. I thought maybe you'd still want them.
Vivian, this is the last time. There's enough money on this card for you to have a small apartment in the suburbs. We're even now.
Evelyn, I'm sorry. I failed you.
Take care.
I really...
You're 40 minutes earlier than expected today.
Because last time, you said I spent too much time at the office, so I shortened 2 meetings.
Shortened meetings? Did Alan cry?
He's used to it.
Evelyn! You two made the headlines! Look for yourself! This shot is insanely good. They even interviewed the vendor outside. He said, that guy looked like he got lost on his way from a church fundraiser.
Give it to me. Stop looking.
And this one, outside the library, he put his jacket over your shoulders.
Are you asking for it?
Let me see the tablet. What do you think of the cover picture?
This angle is actually good. Download the original. Alan has the studio team's content.
Damian!
Nice work.
Boss, Rezi has been frequenting Burke 3 in the Old Port District. Every night from 11 to 2, he moves through the side door of the abandoned turbine workshop with 3 or 4 men. We've mapped his routine. If you want to move, we can close the net tonight.
What's he inventorying?
Cargo Julian didn't have time to hand off before prison. 7 containers, labeled as building materials, act stuffed with smuggled electronics. Rezi wants to flip them fast, but he lacks a transport network. Just a few old hands helping him find buyers.
No rush. Right now, he has no Santori backing, no Julian funding channel, just a handful of old hands with questionable loyalty. He's not setting up a play at the docks, he's spiraling. And when a man spirals, he makes mistakes.
So we don't make a move for now?
The Nuthla don't close it yet. Keep monitoring all his communications and flag every buyer he touches. Also, double Evelyn's security details starting tonight. Keep the team invisible, but keep her strictly within the safe zone.
Yes, sir.
It's all behind you now.
What are you reading?
Your report.
Is something wrong with it?
Nothing is wrong. Just one thought, to be at your graduation, standing up to cheer for you. Screw what anyone else thinks.
Graduation is still a long way off. Focus on running your company first.
As you wish, Analyst Caldwell.
This year's nominee for Most Promising New Analyst is Miss Evelyn.
I'd like to thank the mentors lifted me up and the colleagues who fought beside me. And there is one more person. He didn't teach me how to walk, but when I needed direction most, he gave me a pair of shoes sturdy enough to carry me over every stone. Thank you.
Julian's promised shipment is still sitting at the port. But the Grays have the rail lines choked. We can't move anything out.
Then make sure they can't move anything in either. Burn down their transfer zone. Let them know they don't own the port.
But Damian Gray is...
No matter how sharp he is, he only has 2 eyes. When he's watching Santoro, his blind side is wide open. Get the men ready. We move in 3 days. The loose end is in custody. Hopefully you'll run into Julie in prison. Tell him, He's far too green to challenge his own uncle.
After my family announced that your engagement to Julian was void, they officially held a small private welcome dinner for you at the old estate.
You've got more backbone than your father. More than that, you're smart. The Gray family needs a woman like you, not some decorative pawn traded into the house.
Thank you. But I'm not anyone's accessory, and I'm not anyone's pawn.
I know. That's exactly why you're worthy of Damian. Watch out for the surprise Damian is planning for you. He's been busy with some very strange things lately.
What are you hiding?
Work reports.
Work reports? Fine. When I was little, my mom said wishes made on the first snow come true. She said when the first snow falls in New York, God puts everyone's wishes on a scale and weighs them.
What did you wish for?
It was so long ago. Probably that my family would stay together forever. Later, I realized that kind of wish shouldn't be made to God. It should be made to myself.
Then what would you wish for now?
Damian, my only wish has always been for someone to see me, the real me, not just what I'm useful for.
I see you.
Miss Caldwell, this is not a year-end bonus. Mr. Damian carved at his own state for you.
He said it's not a gift. It's what you've earned.
Yeah.
This equity stake.
Gray Capital is currently valued at $34 billion. Your port logistics proposal is projected by the board to contribute 3% of that value. You earn this with your ability, not because you're my woman.
I told you before, you are smart. Now everyone can see it.
From now on, when the board votes, I'll sit in the third spot to your left. I'll raise my hand like you do, and my vote will count like yours.
I'll be waiting for that day.
Today, as you leave this campus, you carry more than a degree. You carry the courage to change the world.
Were you crying?
No, it was windy. It's not a ring. The ring comes later. This key is the access key to every door in my apartment. From today on, no door can keep you out.
Congratulations. You've officially earned your MBA and been named VP of Strategic Investments. All of Wall Street is talking about the girl who's not even 24. She didn't get there because of a man. She fought her way up deal after deal.
Thank you.
Come on, I'm taking you somewhere.
Where?
You'll know when we get there.
You brought me all the way here just for a seaside restaurant?
You don't notice anything different?
I noticed you a long time ago. I was in the shadows, you were in the light. I watched you get grilled at galas without shedding a tear. Watched you weather your parents' accusations without breaking. Watched you run from the drug champagne Julian gave you.
Oh my God.
You ran into my room. That night you said you were only running for your life. But to me, fate had finally pushed you through my door. I spent 10 years waiting for you to grow up. I spent 3 months waiting for you to choose me. Now I only want to spend the rest of my life waiting for you to say yes. Evelyn Caldable, will you marry me?
Yes, I will.
Life. But to me, fate...
We can offer a Gothic cathedral, a seaside estate, or the Central Park Conservatory. Mr. Gray, which style are you leaning toward?
The conservatory. She gets cold.
It has a glass roof and beautiful natural light.
Your father was murdered. Julian's father stood by and did nothing. Now you've cleared both the killer and the bystander out of the family business. These documents settle my debt to your father. They're yours now.
Father's original trust clause don't matter anymore.
Miss Calderville, some people say you escaped your old family only to enter another cage. How do you respond?
The key to a cage is in someone else's hand, but the key to a home is in your own. I have the key he gave me, and I have my own too. Put those two keys together and it's not a cage. It's a door that can only be opened from the inside. We choose to open it together.
She's so beautiful.
From now on, you'll always be part of my life. No one can take you away.
Thank you for waiting for me.
I've known Damian for 18 years. Before this, I had only ever seen him wear two expressions. One that says, check this quarter's financial data again, and one that says, get out of my sight in 3 seconds. Alan, that's not a very kind way to talk about me today.
Damian, let him keep going. I want to hear this.
Until one night, he asked me to pull a piece of surveillance footage. It was 2 a.m. He sat in his study and watched that clip 7 times. I asked him, boss, do we need to preserve this video as evidence? He said no. This woman's face, I want to remember every version of it. Miss Evelyn, I have never seen him like this for anyone. Thank you for making him a little less terrifying.
You watched the footage 7 times?
For editing purposes.
Take this one home. Put it on your desk as a paperweight. That way, every time you're staring at those headache-inducing files, you'll remember this place.
You're more useful than a seashell.
What does that mean?
You're my sedidant. No matter how maddening the paperwork gets, all I have to do is sit next to you.
Let's come here every year. No phones, no laptops, no Alan.
Alan would be sad to hear that.
Alan has a wife. If we have a daughter, I hope she has eyes as deep and loving as yours.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's not about giving her wealth. It's about giving her a life of choice. A childhood free from schemes, a future not used as collateral. She can do anything she wants, if she chooses.
She'll probably be the hardest girl on Wall Street to mess with.
Tom called me yesterday. He said Vivian has learned how to grow roses in the suburbs. She goes to community gardening class every week and wants to donate part of her pension to a women's shelter.
That's good. What are you thinking about, honey?
I'm thinking, how many girls like me are out there? Used as collateral by their parents, hunted as prey by their fiancés, mocked as jokes by the public. Will they ever make it out?
All my stock dividends are going into a startup fund. It's for girls used as leverage by their parents and those fighting sexism and workplace oppression.
Thank you. This is what I wanted to do too. The luckiest thing in my life was falling into your trap.